Today, I'm going to answer the question, can you flip houses without a real estate license? Do you need a real estate license to flip houses? Well, by the end of this video, I'm going to answer that question and share with you some of the unique flip strategies I'm actually doing in today's market. One of the amazing things about being a real estate investor is the myriad of strategies that exists. Now, many people might assume that a lot of these strategies are only for those that might have the proper licensing to do it, but I can assure you that most times that is not the case. Matter of fact, for many of those strategies, you do not need a real estate license. So let's dive into this today by first diving into the topic of flipping houses. What does that mean? I'll then explain what is a real estate license and who needs those. And finally, I'm going to detail out for you an exciting strategy that I'm doing right now when it comes to flipping homes. If you're ready, let's go. So how does the model of flipping real estate actually work? So at its core, flipping a piece of property is when an investor goes in with the intention to purchase a property that they're not going to personally use, and the goal is to get it at a very low price and turn around and sell it at a higher price to make a profit. For example, if you saw a home in your neighborhood and you thought, man, it's a little bit run down, I could do some things to really fix it up, you purchase that piece of property at a very low price, and I'll talk about why that's important here in a second, but you buy it at a very low price, you maybe paint it, you do a few things that don't cost a ton of money, and then you turn around, put it back on the market, and you sell it for a price much higher than you bought it for. That would be a real estate flip. Now, there's a really important element when it comes to flipping property, and it's probably the most important, and that is being able to get a property at a very low price. And whether that is your traditional flip, a fix and flip, or a slow flip, or my favorite strategy that I'll detail out for you here in a second, cash flow flipping, it has to be at a low price. And when you get properties at a low price, there has to be two elements that one of the two have to be prevalent. And that is either a distressed property or a distressed seller. Now, a distressed property is exactly like it sounds. It is a property that might be a little bit run down. It has some challenges. Cosmetically, it doesn't look real great. It means that you can put a little bit of lipstick on that pig and turn around and sell it for a much higher price. And the price needs to be more than what you bought it for, plus all the expense and time and energy that you put into that piece of property. Now, the second piece to the puzzle that needs to be prevalent if it's not a distressed property is a distressed seller. So what does that mean? What is a distressed seller? That is somebody who might have a challenge in their life right now where they can't afford the piece of property that they're currently in. Whether it's going through a divorce, maybe they need to move, maybe there's some job challenges, or whatever might be going on in their life, they need to exit this piece of property pretty quickly. And maybe they haven't been making payments for the last few months and the bank is breathing down their neck. But here's one thing that I really stress. You need to go into those situations where you have a distressed seller with a ton of compassion, right? If you just go in there like, hey, I need your home at a very low price, you're totally gonna not connect with that person and they're not gonna be interested in talking with you. But if you go in with some compassion saying, listen, I wanna help you with this situation. I understand that you're in a tight situation and you need to move or you need to sell that piece of property. I wanna be a solution. And there's things I can do outside of the real estate transaction that will actually help you, whether it's paying for moving costs, whether it's putting you up in an apartment and paying for 2 or 3 months. Those are all things that you can do if you go into the situation solution oriented. Because rarely does it ever happen in real estate where somebody buys a piece of property as it is and doesn't do anything with it and can turn around and sell it for a profit. This did happen one time early on, but this was during the boom of 2006, 2007. I know an individual who bought a home and they were thinking about moving into it, but that price had gone up nearly $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 in a matter of a couple of months. It was just bought at the right time and they turned around and flipped it and actually made $100 grand on that flip in about 3 to 4 months. So really quick, what is a real estate license? A real estate license, also known as a real estate agent license, is a state-issued license that allows a person to buy, sell, and lease real estate. Each state has its own requirements, but there are some basic eligibility requirements. You have to be 18 years old, and you have to be a US citizen or legal resident. The licensing process can vary. You're gonna have to take some real estate classes and pass those. You're gonna have to find a sponsoring broker. You're gonna have to apply for, take the exam, pass the exam, and you're gonna have to complete a background check and get fingerprints done. The cost of all of that ranges anywhere, depending on the state, between $400 to $1,000. So once you have that license, what can you do, or what does it mean if you're a real estate agent with a license? If you are engaging in real estate for another person, you have to be an agent. You have to have that license. If you are looking to engage to sell a property for somebody or to help somebody buy a property, you have to have the license. But if you're doing it for yourself, you don't have to have that. Now, is it a bad idea if you have a real estate license? Absolutely not. There's some unique things you can do, especially if you're selling a property. Say you found a property on your own, you got it in your name, you fixed it up, you're ready to flip it. You could be the listing agent there and make the commission there as well. So there are some advantages, but it doesn't need to be a requirement. Now, flipping real estate property is amazing, but I know some people get a little bit nervous in today's economy. So I think it really boils down to the right strategy. And here's a strategy I'm currently doing today right now, and I call it cash flow flipping. It's a very innovative strategy that I haven't seen anywhere else. And I feel like it's something that I might have come up with or stumbled on kind of out of luck, but it's something that's worked really well. And it's utilizing kind of a slow flip strategy where I don't flip it right away, but my goal is to flip it within 2 years. So I'm looking at properties at a very discounted price, and I'm looking for properties in the Midwest that are below $100,000. And I need to get these properties about 35 to 40% below what they're offered at. So if there's a property that is listed at, say, $70,000, I need to get it around $50,000 for it to work for me. Once I have that property, now I'm paying cash for it, so it allows me to put an offer, cash only, and I will buy it outright. And a lot of times that works for people, right? If somebody can pay cash for something and close quickly, they're willing to come down on price significantly to make that happen. Once I have that property, I am then looking to do a lease option on that property, right? Where a lease option is a rent to buy, meaning somebody's going to lease that property from me, but in 2 years from now, they're going to turn around and buy it at a certain price. And that price that we're negotiating at, I'm trying to get that price just a little bit above what the original asking price was. And this makes sense because if somebody's buying a property 2 years from now at a little bit higher price than it was listed today, that's probably a good deal for them. And I want it to be a good deal. I want it to be a win-win for them. So I list that property, I find a lease option, and a lot of times, if you have the ability to rent to own on your property, you're gonna have a lot more buyers come out of the woodwork than if you're just selling it outright, because it means right then and there, they do not have to get traditional financing. So I put them on a lease option to buy from me at a certain price 2 years down the road, and I'm counting a certain percentage of their monthly payment towards their down payment. So let's say they're renting it from me for $950. I'm giving $100 of that towards their down payment. 24 months of that, that's $2,400. Now, because they're buying it from me down the road at a certain price, they have to pay an option price. And to make math easy, let's just say it's $2,000. They give me $2,000 for the option to buy this piece of property 2 years down the road at this price. By the end of 2 years, they have $4,400 to put towards their down payment. It's already baked into the whole deal. When I sell it to them, I get that money back. Now, here's another interesting thing. I'm not using my own money for this. I've got a private money lender who will lend me that $50,000 to buy the home at 12%. But here's the key. I pay interest only on that loan every month. So 12% on $50,000 is $6,000 a year or $500 a month. If I'm charging $950 for rent and my payment of interest only is $500, I am cash flowing every single month. And if I bought it for $50 and I turn around and I sell it for $70,000, they'll just say to make math easy, I take that $70,000, I paid the loan of $50,000 off, I pocket $20,000, and I've made money every single month from that. That is cash flow flipping, and it's flipping real estate properties, and that's currently what I'm doing right now. So if you like that strategy or you're interested in how you can utilize flipping to really enhance your real estate investing career, I have a video right here about cash flow flipping. I go into great detail exactly how I do it, how I came up with this strategy, and how anybody in any market can engage in this strategy with little to no money out of your pocket. It is an absolute game changer. Just click on this video right here and it will explain it all to you. Thanks for stopping by. Have an amazing day.